Welcome to the One Bloody Take movie podcast, where we go back in time several decades to browse the aisles of your local video store. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And today we're renting the 1991 movie Camp Fear, so get your popcorn and snow caps ready while we give you our bloody take. Camp Fear was directed by Thomas Edward Keith. This is the only movie he's ever directed, and as is the case so many times with these movies, that makes sense. That part makes sense.
Total sense. And this guy had the audacity to put his first name on the country store they go to. It said Tom's Country Store. Like, you don't want your name on this project. You do not. And two of the actresses weren't in the actual credits. They were uncredited, and they were in the movie for a long time. So that tells you all you need to know.
As is our way with these movies, I have looked too far into this, and I'm going to give this guy so much more credit than you're going to want me to. But I think I'm okay with him putting his name there before he's ever anybody. I think the arrogance is part of the job. I don't have any problem with that.
No, I'm saying you should want to distance yourself.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think this movie is really deeply misunderstood. But
okay.
we will talk about it. This movie is a movie which follows the following plot. Some sorority sisters out for camping in the woods with a handsome professor instead of a Palm Springs spring break. But their orgy is interrupted when some druids find them and decide they need to sacrifice them to prevent the apocalypse at the start of the new millennium. First of all, as you rightfully and sadly pointed out, I saw no orgy. I don't even think I got close to a threesome, let alone an orgy. There was some suggested lesbian sex and some butt rubbing over, around, and through some white panties. And that was about the extent of it. Orgy schmorgy, that's what I like to say.
And usually I'll write my own little synopsis on what happened. I took this directly from IMDb because of how they phrased this. So I think they were just struggling to tell us what happened in the movie, and this is what we got.
I notice, and we don't need to run down everybody because it's a lot of girls that we recognize, and then some people like George Flower. But you didn't mention Vince Van Patten in your list of actors and actresses in this movie. I don't like you disrespecting Mr. Van Patten in such a manner.
Sometimes I do just miss things. Like I'll go and check out their other credits to see what's there, and there's been times I have forgotten.
I had no idea that Vince Van Patten was an actor. I certainly know who his father was from 8 Is Enough. I know who he is for sure because he is the host of was he World Poker Tour? He's the World Poker Tour host.
I did see that. I did not know he was the host, but I saw involved with that.
Yeah, he's one of the play-by-play guys. And so I absolutely know who he is. I've been watching him for years. I had no idea he was an actor, and after watching this movie, I still don't think he's an actor. So it's good probably that he doesn't have a long list of credits in IMDb.
He's made the proper career choice.
110%, yes.
Best of luck to him.
Absolutely. This movie has me questioning a lot of stuff, and let's go over it. First of all, the original poster for this movie is complete garbage, right? Like complete and utter garbage. Even on some of the worst posters that we look at, you could look at it long enough and discern some of what's going on in the movie. This poster leads me nowhere. This poster is a guy yelling at some words and then some people standing under a spotlight on grass in a very flat plain somewhere.
It's almost like he's yelling Camp Fear. And that's what's coming out of his mouth.
I see his mouth forming the words and in the middle of saying, "Don't ever watch this movie again."
I'm going to listen. I used the poster because I could not find a VHS copy.
This doesn't surprise me.
So I don't know if it's super obscure or what's going on here. I was able to find what looked like a DVD cover, but it also looks very bootleg. So that and even that it's even that's even weirder. Nothing that's being depicted on the front is in the movie.
No.
So,
and then you get this other problem that you have with this movie, where if you're trying to research it at all, you're getting a whole lot of cross-pollination with Cape Fear, which was actually a good movie.
yes.
And there are like 3 different Cape Fears as well, so it makes it even trickier to track down things like posters and covers and things like that. So I get it. The back cover of that bootleg DVD, that I like.
Yes.
That I like. And it's honest. Like I'm pretty sure I saw this in the movie. So that was good. But the front cover of the DVD, also sort of misleading, but a lot more compelling than the poster.
Oh, yeah.
Like by far.
It looks very like an exploitation thriller type of movie from like the mid to late 60s.
Yeah.
If we discount the creature or whatever is in the left-hand corner.
Right. The creature that there's nothing in the movie that represents what that creature looks like. Like
there's kind of the thing in the lake, but that's not what it looks like.
No.
I think that's what they're trying to make it, because we never really get a good shot of it.
Okay.
So I think that's just their interpretation of what it is.
Okay.
But yes, that as we see it does not exist in the movie.
So all in all, the press kit for this movie is terrible. There's nothing enticing about this at all. Your biggest actor in the movie is probably by name is probably Vince Van Patten, because of his dad. Like at this point in 1991, that's probably the most well-known name here. You can't tell which one he is on the original poster, and he's not on the DVD cover.
No.
And so we go about the movie with this same sort of haphazard approach. What overall did you think of the movie?
Let me see here. There was a note that I made. It was basically like, I am 50 minutes into this and my life has been shortened because of it. That's the best way that I can think to describe this. It's extremely slow.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are very contradictory.
There's a lot of things that are contradictory. There's a lot of things that like as if they forgot they were filming the movie but kept filming the movie. I don't know a better way to phrase that, but I'll jump ahead a few steps. There's a scene where one of our lead women is on a karaoke-ish stage singing a song, and I went back and checked, and she is introduced as singing the song. So it's not like it was karaoke or she was lip syncing.
Yes,
she was singing the song, and about halfway through her performance, her voice continues to sing the song, her mouth stops singing her song, and her hands that no longer have microphone in it start going up above her head while she's dancing around. And I was so thrown in this little 4 minutes that I had to go back and watch it like 4 or 5 times just to make sure I had sucked in the context of she's actually supposed to be up there singing her song to the crowd as a performer, and not just like, hey, we're at the bar and I got drunk and, I got on stage and danced or whatever. So like that they were editing this movie and they were like, oh, look, here's 3 minutes where she's holding a microphone and she's singing into it. And here's a minute and a half where she's completely oblivious to the fact that she's performing anything anywhere. Let's mix them together and see if anyone notices.
And the actual performance aside, the weird part was that they're there to see a band, but the band can't show up because of the earthquake. So they're not going to be there until tomorrow.
Right.
Everyone else is functioning perfectly, but the earthquakes are causing all these problems that we never see. then the host of of the who's ever putting on the show
Right.
goes, but it's okay. We have Wendy here to sing her song. At no point was this ever discussed. Wendy never said, hey guys, I might sing tonight. Come and check me out. They may as well called up me if I was in there, because it would be just as big a surprise that they know who I am and I'm about to sing a song.
Well, that's the thing. They threw it to her like, oh, we got Wendy?
Yeah.
This is such an upgrade from what we were expecting. I love that Wendy. Who cares? Like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we don't have our regular band, so these people have offered to step in. How cool is that? Let's check them out, give them a hand. Thank you for going spur of the moment. That's cool. No, we got Wendy, guys. We don't got to worry about nothing. The fuck is Wendy?
And usually, I don't know about you, but when I think of this genre, rock and heavy metal come first. They are usually the closest type of music associated with this if you're going to play a song.
Like you're saying, like in horror movies.
In horror movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I would agree with that. It would go like rock, metal, and then after that would be like 80s sort of like Depeche Mode electropop would be like the in order.
Right. And then we do have a good amount too, like with some rap but the energy of the rock and the metal are usually
high up on that list. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Who, tuning into a horror movie, wants to hear this song?
I'm going to tell you with all the honesty in the world that because I kept going back and rewatching this scene to try to like comprehend everything. Foolish quest, by the way, but so I've heard this song for 20 minutes. And if I were to have you put the song on right now and tell me I'm going to play 3 songs, tell me which one it was, I would have no idea. It was so unmemorable that I listened to it repeatedly less than 12 hours ago, and I could not tell you what it was.
And I would understand this if this was your main get. If this actress was the main person that you were getting, and it's like a lot of old sitcoms used to showcase other people's talent. You're on for an episode, or we're probably getting canceled. Who here can sing? Audition for another show, type of thing. Mm-hmm. And not that I know this personally, but I've heard stories about how Hypatia Lee would sing in her movies. And it's just kind of like, well, she's going to do the movie, but she wants to sing. Okay. Again, it's just what I've heard.
You guys understand she's not there for the singing, right? Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah. Whatever it takes to get her on set.
It's what she wants to do. So I understand that, because now everybody's happy. She's getting to do a performance she wants to do.
Right.
And the producers have who they want. So, okay. That makes sense to me. This makes no sense. This person doesn't have to do this. This is a choice. So it's a terrible choice at that.
Yeah.
Now, earlier you had asked me a question, just like what did I think of how this was made or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And it had come to me. It reminded me of when Homer is Poochie, and he asks if this cartoon will be going out live. And the answer is no, because it's a terrible strain on the animator's wrist. I think that this movie was shot live how Homer Simpson would perceive it. Where they were literally writing down what was happening as the crew and the talent were preparing to take care of it. That is the only way any of this makes sense to me. But I understand to an extent why it is so convoluted and why we got what we got. The opening scene, we'll just say the shower scenes that were strung together with a little bit of dialogue, and it just need 5 minutes. That scene, did you recognize anything from that? Other than some of the actresses that that were in it.
I was kind of locked in to the humans that were involved. I didn't see anything
Yeah.
specific. No.
That is the set of Evil Tunes. We get
Okay.
an exterior of the house.
Okay.
That's Evil Tunes.
Right.
We get the kitchen. We get the living room area, and then we get the upstairs. I don't think that's as shown as much in Evil Tunes, but the main areas they stay is usually downstairs or in an interior room upstairs. Same sofa, same everything. The reason that this happened is that after they made this movie, which was supposed to be a sequel to Cheerleading Camp, which is
Okay.
why we have Betsy Russell, turned out not to be a sequel to Cheerleading Camp.
Okay.
And they made this instead. It was initially going to be called Millennium Countdown, which makes all the sense in the world to me.
It does.
That is your title of this movie.
Yeah.
But after they made this pile of garbage, the studio went, "Hey guys, you forgot nudity." And they reached out to Fred Olen Ray, who was filming Evil Tunes at the time, and said, "Hey Fred, can you help us out?" And Fred goes, "Sure." And he had access to all those actresses. And when Michelle's in the shower, again, you're probably not paying attention to anything else, but when she is in the shower, one of the other Dorgan girls comes up, Suzanne Ager, I think her name is. She is Terry in Evil Tunes.
Okay.
So we have someone from the Evil Tunes set that's even helping out on this movie because they just happened to be there.
Right.
So that's why we have all of this. And that's why, other than two of the girls, we don't see any of them ever again. That's why they go to Florida and not camping.
Right.
Because
They have to be
they're
separated out.
they're just there.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, my question then becomes, because I remember when we discussed Evil Tunes and Michelle Bauer was Dick Miller's missus in that, and it was just kind of like, "Hey, Michelle, can you help me out?" "Sure, Fred, anything for you. I always have a good time." Was she brought in to do this movie and then was like, "Well, while I'm here, can I get a little role in your next one?" Or was she there to do Evil Tunes, and because of that, she also did this? So I'm not sure which one came first. I mean, I know this was 1991, Evil Tunes was 1992, but this was already shot and not released, yet.
Right.
While they were making that. So it just then makes me think of that, like, how did that go down? And I only became aware of this because I saw a post from Fred Olen Ray on his Facebook page talking about the time that he helped a movie out called Millennium Countdown, and here's the casting sheet for that day. And, and he posted all the actresses' names in it and said, "I did this while shooting Evil Tunes." And by the way, his name is not on this movie.
Of course.
So it's uncredited, and wisely so. He put Millennium Countdown. I look up Millennium Countdown. I'm like, okay, well, what's this movie about?
Right.
I can't find it. But IMDb is usually good about when you type in a name and it's changed, they feed you the other name. And I was like,
Right.
Camp Fear, why am I getting Camp Fear? And I'm thinking it's there because it was my last search type of thing and
Right.
not my search result. So I did it again. I'm like, oh no, these are the same damn thing. They just changed the name. So the chances of me seeing that post right before I'm going to watch this movie are insane.
As we're discussing this, one other thing. First of all, that's phenomenal work on your part. That's phenomenal research.
It was handed to me. I barely had to do it. I mean, I researched it after the fact, but it was literally just given to me.
Well, that you even hit the books on the, hey, where did the rest of the girls go and why are they not in the rest of the movie?
Yep.
When I was just thinking, okay, some of them went on the trip and some of them didn't. No big deal. Phenomenal work all the way around. This movie got changed from being Millennium Countdown to Camp Fear. Now, we've seen the movie. We know what happens. But going into it blind, if I told you we were going to see a movie called Camp Fear, wouldn't you expect sort of like a Crystal Lake kind of arrangement?
Yes.
Like we would be at a camp, not camping. Like I
the
realize it's ultimately very similar, but if you tell me I'm watching a movie called Camp Fear, I really want there to be a camp and the kids are in charge and there's a killer in the woods or whatever the case may be.
I'm going to require at least 3 closely placed cabins.
Yeah.
At the very minimum.
Yeah.
To establish a camp.
And then one cabin in the distance, and that's where the girls stay, and the boys are gonna have to sneak over there to hang out with the girls. Absolutely.
And they need that one rowboat that they have, and have to sneak out quality. Wow, I cannot talk.
No, I get it. It's a thing that's going around.
Yeah.
Along with the cyclosporiasis. Even in so much as they changed this from Millennium Countdown to Camp Fear, even that was a terrible decision.
It was.
It's unbelievable how consistent this guy is in his work. I'm going to pull you back real quick to the very, very beginning, because the first thing that caught my ear was the horrendous mock John Carpenter's Halloween music.
Yep. I put a note on in the music tab. I was like, Halloween? Yeah.
Like, it's horrendous, but it's also patently obvious what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. And then, and then after that, we get like a 10-minute lingerie parade with, like I said, insinuated lesbian sex and just girls walking around with, half to fully unclothed. And it made no sense, and it had no anything except for I was like, okay, maybe we're in for a good movie here. And then we get to the classroom, and there was a girl in the classroom wearing a Walkman, rocking the fuck out during this, and like no one really acknowledges her too much. Like the teacher is not like, okay, let's put that aside for class. Like, she is just in there just smashing around, listening to whatever she's listening to, and everybody else is like, yeah, that's how class goes here in 92. Turn up your Sony Walkman and get busy. And then the earthquake hits, and the his shelves are devoid of Oscars, but I have no explanation as to why. The phenomenal actor, Vince Van Patten, runs over to his desk and just kind of crouches beside it.
Yeah.
Like,
no, and
they quickly write it off in the script, and I don't know if that was just like, that was all planned, or just that one actress was quick on her toes and was like, hey, you're not from around, you're not from the West Coast, so you're not familiar with earthquakes and how they work. This is no big deal for us.
No, they actually do set some things up. So I'm going to give them, I don't want to say credit because it's still stupid what they pulled off, but there's some consistency sometimes. For example, Wendy, one of the girls that's in the home that's going to go on this trip, she mentions her phys ed professor or teacher in class. And then later when Michelle, I think it's Michelle. It doesn't matter. When girls C trips and twists her ankle, she picks her up and goes, "It's a good thing I've been paying for those expensive It's a good thing I've been paying for those expensive phys ed classes."
This movie has sucked the ability to speak out of you.
It has. So why did they go through that trouble to say something all the way at the beginning, just so when a character sprains her ankle later, we believe the other girl can carry her?
Right.
As if a girl is incapable of helping her friend otherwise.
Listen, if you want to go off on a tangent about how unrealistically, unbelievably chauvinistic this movie is, we can do that too. That's a whole other movie in and of itself. I was just pointing out the earthquake scene because of the ridiculous way that Van Patten reacts to the earthquake by just sort of getting over to his desk and scooching sideways. And then the girl who was rocking out is unfazed by it, which that's running through in my head over and over again. Like, okay, I get that she can't hear, but I don't know how hearing affects the fact that the desk is shaking underneath of you.
Well, this earthquake was audio only.
Oh, I didn't.
Apparently, because even when they're in the bar, the only time the bottles and glasses move is when they're moving the table themselves. Other than that, even though the camera's shaking, everything stays still.
It's very Star Trek-y with the shaking. Oh, earthquake. Oh. So
with by the way, the earthquakes in this are a sign that the world is ending.
Right.
So that's why we're having them. They keep getting worse,
Right.
and you can't have an earthquake in a movie, and without having me think of Kentucky Fried Movie where they do the quick little news blurb, Rams plagued by fumbles as earthquakes rock Los Angeles. News at 11. Like the sometimes there's just little tiny jokes that are just so perfect that you if you wrote that, you'll never write anything better, and that's perfectly fine because that's amazing.
Yeah, and that only required 3 quality writers and a good director to get that. Not like what we have working here.
No. So, now that we've discussed that the opening scene wasn't supposed to be part of this movie.
Right.
Then is the true opening of the movie Tiffany running down the outside of the college, and she bumps into that guy, knocks all his shit out of his hands, who's never in the movie again. No explanation as to why that happened, whatever. But if you noticed, she stops at one door, kind of checks the door, and then almost looks around to see if she's being watched.
Right.
Then starts a new building, because now that we have separation, she goes to other doors. That is a new building until she figures out she can't get in that way. And then she goes to the door with the name of the class on it.
Right.
Why would you be checking 2 different doors in 2 different buildings or 2 different entrances when there is a main entrance outside to the class? And I will say, I have never taken a class other than automotive and metal shop in high school where the door to the class is located outside, because you need a very large area for all the machinery that's needed to teach the class. So it's going to make sense that you're not going to have a car inside the school, or like welding. That's not going to happen inside the school in case there's a fire. What's going to happen in this class that it needs to be separated from everything else?
I'll do you one better. They are at college. They are presumably intelligent people. And we are days from spring break, which means she has gone to this class probably 40 or 50 times previous to this. And she looked oblivious to the way the campus is laid out whatsoever. Forget checking doors and what doors are facing outward and what doors aren't. Why does she not know the precise path to the classroom that she has probably been in at least 30 times? And probably at least twice in the last 7 days. And she was just like if they say, first day of school, okay, I get it. Yeah. We're at day 87, 88 here. You got to know where you're headed.
No, none of that made sense. And then, nudity aside, whether that's in the movie or not, that would have been their opening scene.
Yeah.
And I don't think they scrapped something because we were still shy of an hour 30.
Yeah.
Which
they would have kept it. It would have been a fine opening. Like, if your opening scene is just granted, there's the whole build up to it, but if your opening scene was just, Marty McFly hustling to get to school before he's late, that's a fine opening. That shows you that she's disorganized. It shows you a couple different things, and it establishes where we are. We're at a college. It's an all-girl college.
Yeah.
That would have been okay. It certainly wouldn't have been as good as the one we have, but if that didn't exist, that as the opening scene wouldn't have been all that off-putting, especially knowing what's coming later.
Yeah. But I think we should go on her journey. Yeah. We need to be where she is when she wakes up late. Mark.
Yeah. Give me something. Give me the alarm clock on the floor and a bottle of water or whatever like that. Yeah.
Just another 30, 60 seconds just showing how she got there. That's all.
Prompt me as to why she's hustling. Yeah, I got you. So, in this class, on this day, we've established that we're going to go camp near where we think there's going to be, let's call a ceremony for now. There's going to be some ceremonies related to potentially the end of the universe due to the turning of the millennium. So we all, college school movie style, all hop into a vehicle or two and head our way out. Now, there is so much like chauvinism and so much like demeaning of women in this. But I do have a question, like, and I realize this is like the late 80s, early 90s, and as I had to keep explaining to my son in some movies we're watching, things were very different back then. What college is going to be cool with this particular arrangement of one male professor and six women, six potentially underage women, I guess, college, you could be 17 in college, are just going to shack up on the side of a hill for a couple days and then come back later.
And they don't even, it's not even hidden.
No,
it's out in the open. Everybody knows they're dating.
They reference it. So they go off on their journey. Again, this movie is so cut from a template that there's a scene coming up that I'm going to have a deeper discussion with you about than I think is necessary. But we get to the part where the travelers have to stop at the gas station and meet, who we think will be their rivals or foes in the form, in this case, of this biker gang. This wildly fucking inappropriate biker gang. And I know the biker gang is always like, especially in this time frame, the biker gang is always like the derelicts and the drug, like they're not supposed to be good people to begin with. But holy Christ, the blatant over the top sexism and the over the top like, it just felt so far beyond reality. Like, okay, you want them to be the grease balls and they're going to be eyeballing your women and they're going to make everybody uncomfortable. Okay, I understand the character that you're trying to paint here. And it's a very, like I said, it's a very cookie cutter character, but I understand it. But the way these dudes are behaving is just wildly out of pocket. And everybody's just like, well, that's how bikers are,
One of them just grabs Wendy and shakes her.
Yep.
Like, so
yep.
Here's what makes this even more confusing. One of them, and I think his name is Bill, and I'm just guessing that from the credits. I never heard him addressed by name.
Right.
There's two guys, and speaking of falling into what you're talking about, when they're at the bar, they basically get their asses smacked by two guys at the bar.
Yep.
They ignore them, go on their way, sit down. These guys follow them, they sit down, and now they're basically going, well, we're here now type of thing. And the thing is, the girls were so desperate for dates and asking anyone to go camping with them. Had they just been polite, they would have been invited. Like that's all they had to do was just be a little respectful. And then you could have went camping with them.
Which was a whole other weird sort of aspect to this movie. Like, these women are in college. They are going on a trip to research their subject. They don't seem, and I don't know why this matters, but they don't seem unintelligent. They're not being painted as bimbos or anything like that.
Right.
But their behavior...
Well, it matters because then their actions should be intelligent actions.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, like, it's not dumb women don't automatically just like run around looking for dates. Like, it's but these women are even a cut above, and it's just like, but they just want men to fuck them. Like, this is a weird.
It's Wonder Woman 84. You make a really good movie with Wonder Woman, and you got the love story in it, but it doesn't, and then that's all they rely on. Like, I don't want to do anything, he's not there for me. Like, shut the fuck up and just, solve crime. Like, that's what you're good at. You don't need a man to go out and kick ass.
We're inching towards the end of the world. Like, I understand, maybe you want to have someone by your side, but we're in this very small window here where if it's not available to you, it's not available to you. You don't have to settle for the derelicts at the bar.
But here's the thing with those two. One of them is in the gang.
Right.
And I only knew that the second time I watched it, because he said to them, like, oh, you can't get rid of me that easy, or something along those lines. He makes a comment like, I'm still here and I'm still going to find you. And so the guys in the gang are very like stereotypical how you would think a biker would dress in this time, and then put it on steroids. So his other outfit was nothing like this. So it's just like he's just playing dress up for the weekend when he goes on his bike. And therefore it just reduces all of them to South Park bikers. Once you do that, then they're not as tough as they want you to think they are.
Right.
They're just dicks.
They were never tough. They were just scumbags. They reminded me of the biker gang that shows up in Weird Science when they come through the portal, and it's just these guys riding in circles inside the house and acting, uncomfortable. I never thought that we couldn't beat them, but Jesus, they're just a bunch of dirt balls.
Yeah.
And it, like I said, and that sort of approach just lingers in this movie, something ferocious. So okay.
I mean, are you moving on, or are you still talking about this?
Yeah, I'm moving on.
Okay, there's one more thing I want to talk about at the gas station.
Yeah.
Okay. So they pull up. It's Mark. And Mark Hamilton is his name. It's like, come on, guys. Mark, his girlfriend, fuck's her name. Jamie, I think it's Jamie. And then we have Tiffany, Wendy, and Michelle. Okay, and they're the friends.
Classic Michelle.
Tiffany is the blonde.
I thought
they're
Jamie
in
was
a
the
Jeep.
blonde.
No, Jamie is the girlfriend.
Okay.
I did that when I first watched it and came out of it. That's exactly how I had it. But then I was like, oh no, Tiffany, because they say Tiffany's name a lot. Tiffany stands up in the back of the Jeep in what she sleeps in, stretches, and then is like, hey, you assholes, why'd you kidnap me?
Yes.
So this means that she either is a very heavy sleeper or she drank the entire bar that night.
Right.
Because in order to be in that spot, they would have had to pick her up out of bed. And the rooms are upstairs, unless she didn't make it upstairs. Walk to the Jeep, put her in the Jeep, drive what has to be at least 2 hours is my guess. And then stop. And the only thing that wakes her up is the Jeep stopping. Now, if you went to sleep in your house and you woke up outside, would you be really calm until you saw what you were wearing?
No, I would not. I probably would lack calmness until you explain to me what was happening.
And then Marcus basically goes like, here's your clothes, bitch. Like that was his attitude to it. And why is he the gatekeeper of her clothes? Her friends should be. Why is he holding on to her clothes, this driver of the car? She should just have a bag packed that they packed, and one of the girls should have handed her the clothing.
Why was she being drugged? Either way, like why are we at the stage where we're talking about what her luggage looked like and not why was she drugged?
Well, I thought she was drunk. Like I thought she did this to herself.
Okay. You think she self-medicated and didn't realize what she was getting. Oh, all right, I got you.
Or maybe that's why she was late to class. She can't get up again. So maybe she's just a very, very heavy sleeper.
She's like their B.A. Baracus. Like they have to, in order to get her in motion.
And to, I think, cement the attitude of this biker gang that you were talking about and put a time stamp on this movie, as Mark and the ladies drive away, Ace, the leader of this so-called gang, screams, "See you bitches on the flip side."
Yep.
And I want to know, was that in the script? Or did he go over to the director and go, you know, when I just flip them off as they drive away, I feel like Ace would say, see you bitches on the flip side. What do you think?
Do you guys understand how hip Ace is supposed to be in this movie?
Yeah.
He would say something of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the director said to him, well, I've never directed a movie before.
And I'll never direct one
and
again.
I'll direct another one again. So obviously you know more than me. Say it.
If you think that's what the character possesses inside, then let's get that outside on the film.
And I know what's cool to say in one decade is not in the next.
Yeah.
But when you say it like that, it's never cool. It's just never.
Your biker gang has a tendency to be kind of counterculture anyway. So like they wouldn't necessarily partake in the slang of the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they'd be more likely to say something you would place from the 60s than they would to something that they saw on MTV 2 days ago.
Yep.
So we're moving on from our first stop, and we run into a talisman, a gentleman precautioning them. And this is where the movie takes a little bit of a turn for me mentally. And I think I'm often accused of being an extremely cynical person. But I think doing these shows really brings out the hopeful sort of guy that I can be. And it's a little uncomfortable, but it's always interesting. So this person they're talking to, and essentially he's giving them warnings, like get out of here kind of warnings. You don't want to be here. And the girls go through this sort of conversation with him that goes something, and I'm paraphrasing, so I apologize to the writers who work so hard here. Step one, we're not disturbing an ancient Indian burial ground, are we? And he says no. Then they ask, there's no serial killer or maniac loose in the woods, is there? And he says no. And then the one girl says, aren't you just going to finally say we're not safe? And he says no. In this window of time, what they've done is they have addressed every horror movie ever leading up to this horror movie. And I started to wonder, is this supposed to be a meta horror movie? Like, is this supposed, like the things that we're seeing and going, this is dumb. Is this in its own unique, poorly executed way, a precursor to say Scream, where they're walking you through all of these very obvious tropes from horror movies and then just playing with them and moving forward into their own horror movie, which is also overburdened with all of these like regular horror movie tropes. And the only reason I'm even thinking that is because they have this dialogue out loud and it's so bad. And it comes right after they see there's like the group of them, and then there's like an Indian up on a mountain watching them. And you know how I know he was an Indian? Because he's standing there with a giant headdress on and his face painted, and like I wrote down, he looked like the cigar store Indian, but as a real person watching them. And then they go into this conversation. Are we on ancient Indian like no one would ever ask that. You would know that or not know that, but like there's no in between where you go, is this what they've talked about, this Indian burial ground? I wouldn't want to disturb that. I wouldn't want to find out that there's a maniac in the wood. Like they're checking off these boxes in this conversation. And I'm like, I think maybe these guys are trying to pull off a little parody here.
Yeah. Has a child ever died in that lake while camp counselors were having sex? And have you seen his mother?
Are you guys familiar with Bernie Perrant and the mask that he used to wear?
Are there any large children that want ice cream?
How do you guys do when sleeping? Nightmares frequent here? Yay, nay?
I mean, it's possible, but the writer is the director.
Right.
So, he would have as much control over it to put what he wants in.
Sure.
And maybe he had that moment where this isolated moment is like that.
He just wanted to goof on this one spot. Not
Yeah.
like it's not
Yeah.
like not secretly, but it's not like indicative like that the rest of like we're saying like the biker gang that shows up is a ridiculously over the, even though the biker gangs are always ridiculously over the top, this is a ridiculously over the top version of that ridiculously over the top gang. You know what I mean?
But
Like
yes,
everything
a lot
is
of times
done to this extreme comic level extreme, but not funny, just comic level extreme ridiculousness.
a lot of times those biker gangs at least seem somewhat capable, even if they're not doing what they're capable of.
Right.
And as this biker gang came in, one of them had their arms out like they were doing sick tricks. For who? Like you know, like nobody, nowhere. I don't. I'm not aware of the culture, you know, but I would think no respectable person on a motorcycle would ever do that. Like, you know, but I think I do have some insight into your cynicism.
Okay.
Outside of this, it's most likely that you have to tell people, no, this is shit and this is why. You just don't understand it shit.
Right.
Here, we know it's shit. And we're trying to do, well, you know it's shit, but you're not paying attention to what's under the shit. There's something good under there if you take the time to look for it.
There's some
So that
salvageable corn.
That could be why you have these opposite instincts.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, because we're starting at a default of garbage, I can lift myself up a little bit and not be too far out of my regular zone anyway. I got you.
Yeah.
I wrote a list of other horror movies that came out in 1991 because I was so angry with this movie at a certain point. Did you know 1991 is the year that Silence of the Lambs came out? The first horror movie to ever win an Oscar for Best Picture was up against Camp Fear in theaters at some point.
How?
Cape Fear also came out that year too, as did Freddy's Dead, Child's Play 3, and Puppet Masters 2 and 3. This movie, I take back what I said about the possibility that it's some giant, brilliant attempt at satire. This thing is crap.
This moment very well be. If you want, I will get on board with this discussion as being that.
Okay.
Here's the problem with this scene though. First, I mean, before I get into the actual problem with the story, that once we introduce the Indian or the medicine maker, we have a big issue. Mark takes some sage with him, but never uses it later in the movie.
Right.
Like that, I felt like that was going to come into play to ward off the druid. I would think that in this movie, the druid is not evil. The druid is doing the necessary work. The druid is the original trolley problem. You know, do we kill 4 people and save the world? Or if I do nothing, the world dies.
Right.
So the druid, and it's even shown in some scenes, he asks Tiffany, well, in his own way, to drink the potion. Yeah. He doesn't force it down her. He doesn't hurt them when he takes them. He just takes them. I don't think he actually wants to do harm. He just has to.
He's just following the rules.
Yes.
He's just doing the job he was tasked with doing, regardless of the brutality of the job.
Yes, and he knows it's for the best.
Right. Because he knows he'll save the universe for another 1,000 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if we are introduced to the medicine maker seems to be the protagonist to the perceived antagonist of this movie. At least that's the way I'm taking it here. Because he said he was summoned by his ancestors to look over, to do something. And I wouldn't understand then why he would not be working in conjunction with the druid.
So you're saying, if I'm getting you right, essentially the druid is there to save the world, more or less.
Yes.
Like I'm overstating it, but he's there to save the world. And the medicine man, you believe, is also there to save the world. So why
But
aren't
it makes
they
it sound
joining-
like the medicine man is against the druid, like he's there to stop it. Evil is here. He's talking about the evil. So
Right.
what would the evil be?
the evil would be the thing in the lake or the druid. Like those are your only options.
But-
the way that the movie
Yes.
plays out.
But the thing in the lake is part of the druid
Right.
because there's the stone statue in the cave. That's the thing in the lake.
You're bringing up an interesting conundrum that gets created, and I think at a certain point, you're going to have to fall back on the idea that different religions have different beliefs and different intentions, and even in so much as religion A believes that if we do this, we're going to save the world, while religion B believes that no, you're going to damage it. So I think they may be at odds, even though I do agree with you in the idea that the druid is not necessarily inherently evil. The druid is there to perform a function that we find grotesque. But that doesn't make it evil. It makes it grotesque. Those are different things. And historically, we know the world has existed for more than 1,000 years, so potentially it's been working this whole we don't have evidence against it. But it's the same for the medicine man. Like he's got his beliefs and his religion, and he may think that their rituals are the rituals that keep this alive, and we got to stop this guy because he's inviting more evil and more harm than we want. So I don't necessarily believe that they are protagonist and antagonist, but they're very parallel in what they want to accomplish. That I agree with.
Right. They both want the same thing.
Yeah.
Just maybe different ways of getting it. There is one thing I will save with the medicine maker until the very end.
Okay.
When we discuss our last death. When I do have an issue with the druid.
Okay.
When the druid is first presented to us, he is a combination of Handsome Squidward and Dr. Manhattan. He's like glowing blue, right?
Yeah.
Yes. He's not glowing blue later in the movie. And even when he's out at night in another scene, he's not glowing blue. I don't know whether it's an inconsistency or the way he was lit, but it was weird because later in the dark, he wasn't blue. So I don't know whether if we are doing some reshoots because there's not enough nudity, was there also not enough druid? And we had to go back and get those shots of the druid at night. And they went, I don't remember what he looks like. Do you? Go with it. And that's what happened.
Oh, you said Jewish. I thought you said bluish. That's my mistake. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh.
We don't have time for reshoots, though, so we're just going to run with this.
Just go with it. We'll just put lots of tits at the beginning and no one will notice.
No one will care. If anyone gets past the opening credits, good on them. They get what they deserve.
Yeah.
They bought their tickets. They knew what they signed up for.
Once you put that scene at the start of the movie, anything else you do in this movie is going to fall short and be subpar.
Yeah.
So you are disappointing your audience for the next hour and 30 minutes. Well, and I think this was like 126 and 127, something like that. So you're disappointing your audience for like the next hour and 19 minutes. It makes no sense to do what they did, but that's throughout the movie. So
yeah, listen, either we're going with it's a brilliant parody or the movie's garbage. Like this movie has no in between to it whatsoever. So if you're looking for things that sort of make sense and sort of don't, they only fall into two of those buckets. So at this point, by the time they get to the Medicine Man the first time, they have basically established the movie. Like the movie's done with its exposition at this point. I like to say they've given up on making a movie at this point. And they're just like, okay, now all we have left to do is kind of just fulfill what we mentioned might happen in this movie. Yeah. And that's where it goes from there. Like it really does. This part breaks the movie into, like, in another world, the director steps on the scene and goes, well, you got what you're getting, so here's the rest. And that's it. That's like that. That's how we go from here. We just take a giant slide downhill, and we start capturing and killing people.
I feel like they shot all of the death scenes and then said, how much film do we have left? And then filled in everything else. Like that makes sense to me, the way things have been done here. Because we go 45 minutes into this movie with 0 deaths occurring at that time. That's when we have the first abduction.
Which doesn't have to be a problem. Like the idea that we went a long time before our first kill in a horror movie doesn't have to be an issue, as long as what's happening leading up to that is remotely good.
Yes.
This movie sidesteps that problem by not even being remotely good, so we don't have to debate that part.
And that is the thing with horror movies, though, is you don't necessarily have to have everything else be remotely good if you have some decent death scenes.
Right.
And you pace those death scenes throughout the movie. So they can do a lot of work to cover up bad writing or no writing, or terrible acting if you put them in at the appropriate times. When we get no death and garbage, that's where you're like, 45 minutes? Ooh, yeah, no, it's only been that long.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And this is where the movie splits. And now it's like, okay, we have to clean up the mess that we have dialogue-wise created for you. So, right away, we get the druid. And the druid is snatching up girls. And while the druid is snatching up girls, the first person that we actually see get killed is Speedy. And Speedy is doing that thing that I do in the dark, which is talking very loud so that everyone is aware of my existence, including potentially the killer. Because if there's one thing I know about killers, it's that if they know you're there, they won't come and kill you. So he does that. And then some creature that we're wholly unprepared for just kind of like comes off the side of the screen and kills him.
Yeah.
And that's it for Speedy.
And Speedy is in this position because the gang had taken over the camp, and Mark and Jamie are there. But Tiffany went out on her own to look for them because they wandered off to have sex. And then the rest of the girls heard Tiffany scream at the camp. So when Tiffany screams, Melissa's like, nah, that was probably just the wind. And Wendy goes, there is no wind. That's when they realized it was a scream, not Melissa. Screams don't sound like wind.
Right.
Wind doesn't sound like screams. The only reason they realized it was a scream was because there was no wind.
There was no wind.
And that is why Speedy is sent out to look for these two girls who went out to look for Tiffany. And again, just like Ace with the see you on the flip side, bitches, I want to know, did Speedy go? I feel like Speedy's character would have large holes under his ass cheeks in his otherwise complete jeans. And they went, you know more than I do, cut away. Because I don't understand why you would do that.
You wouldn't. And I'm not going to pretend to put any context into it. You just wouldn't. What you would do is you would say, hey, you look stupid, but we don't have time for you to get changed, so keep rolling. And that's, that's part of the beauty of this movie, is the very spur of the moment, we're not going to fix anything attitude that they had while they were making it. But on the plus side, Speedy's dead.
Speedy is dead. The druid carries off Melissa and Wendy, and they are gone. Zero blood, zero gore, zero special effects unless you count whatever that was coming out of the water. And again, we're 50 minutes into the movie, and while that is acceptable, I feel like if you go on 50 minutes without a kill, you've got to nail this one. Like, it has to be visual. There has to be something memorable about it. And it was the worst possible thing you could have done.
Yeah, I think it was. I think you're right. I think you either, in that moment, you either have the option to go high level special effect, bloody gore,
Yeah.
or do it in such a subtle way that it continues to build suspense. So either you need to go all in on Speedy getting split in half and blood flying all over the place like a water fountain, or just all of a sudden a quick blip and Speedy's gone and no one knows what happened at all. Like you can't middle this one.
And if we're keeping score, in order to save the world, 4 sacrifices must be made. There is talk that one has to be a virgin, but nothing is ever determined if they are or not. So Speedy would be the first death that we're aware of, but we also know Tiffany has been abducted at this point. So possibly 2 until we find out Tiffany is alive later.
Fair enough. So then we move along. I will say this. No, I'm not going to say it in any kind of magnanimous way. They quickly realize that people are missing, which is rare in horror movies. They quickly realize there's a problem. And what they decide to do is team up with the very rapey bikers and try to find their friends and solve this situation. As they're looking around for Speedy, they see his jacket out floating in the water in the middle of nowhere. And so they do probably the smartest thing I can think of that you would do if you saw your missing friend's jacket floating somewhere. They send one of their friends out to go get it. They send Frog to go recover Speedy's jacket. And Speedy, as we progress down this chain of super intelligent thoughts, goes completely under the water and dives in and disappears. But then obviously he knows something's wrong. And so he's screaming and he gets pulled under the water and dies, presumably from the same thing that already had killed Speedy. Frog is now dead.
Yes. And we do get a little bit of blood here. The water bubbles up to signify that a struggle is taking place, or one of them is farting. I'm not sure which. If it is farting, then one of them has hemorrhoids.
Both.
So now with Frog dead, we have 2 confirmed kills, which means they should only have to kill 2 more times.
Well, so you're working under the assumption that these are sacrifices and not murders.
Yes, and that's how the characters take it too, though.
Yeah.
But yes, that is a problem I have. I agree with you. I believe these are murders and not sacrifices.
Yeah, when you tell me sacrifice, there's got to be some sort of ceremonial component to it.
Yes, because there's a ton of pomp and circumstance behind what the druid puts these girls through.
Right.
So just random kills shouldn't count, but the girls are counting them. And understandably so. No, you killed 2 guys. There's 4 of us, 2 of us can live.
We should be good.
Yeah. So yeah. But I agree. I don't believe these should count.
Right. So, but in either case, the druid is using his druidian math. And he has snatched up Tiffany and dressed her in, again, we do everything in this movie by the most stereotypical possible option we can take. And here's Tiffany dressed like a druid slave. There's no other way to describe it. And the druid hands her a bottle, and initially he's not forcible with it. It's like he kind of offers it to her, but she's not going to drink it, which rightfully so. He's 1,000 years old. Who knows when that expired? And so he forces her to drink it, and she finally drinks it. And now, like, it's some kind of hypnosis that she's under, or she's drugged, or whatever it is. She's no longer in control of her facilities.
Right.
And so what she's doing now is trying to get more sacrifices together by trying to convince the other girls, who are now all snatched up and dressed like she is, to also drink. And they refuse to drink, so the druid makes Wendy drink it. So all the girls are now zombies, I guess. I don't know. They're hypnotized, they're drugged, whatever you want to call it.
They seem to be lucid, but they're on Team Druid now.
Right. Very very roofy / scopolamine-ish. And they all seem like cool with being sacrificed, I think is what we have here. Like whatever he's giving them to drink, they're ready to go with the ceremony now. So Tiffany lays out. She's ready to go first. The druid takes a little crystal and gives tribute to this stone creature that's over there, and then slits Tiffany's throat. I thought there should have been more to this scene, as far as after her throat was slit. Like, again, like the pomp and the circumstance, like the ceremonial,
flames rise up from the torches on the wall,
or the blood is slowly filling a container that needs to be filled to a line, or it's filling through a maze and you're seeing it move. Like, there should have been a little more to this, because they know they're winding down. They know that this is dire. They here I'm saying is the director / writer for the movie. But in the meantime, Tiff is dead. There's no coming back. Her throat was slit.
And special effects was something that this movie cared nothing about. The throat slit is just a knife moving near the neck while pouring red paint out from their sleeve.
I couldn't quite understand what they were showing me. It was so bad. I was like, I think he's just dragging a rock across her neck.
And two other things that made no sense with this is, what the fuck is the crystal? We were never told about a crystal. Crystal. We don't know what powers that crystal has. We don't know why the crystal has to be placed in the mouth of the creature, who the creature is. They've explained the hell out of the druid and what the druid's responsibilities are.
Right.
But this actual moment, nothing.
Nada.
And right before Tiffany gets murdered, the remaining guys are watching from above somehow, even though it's a cave. I'm not sure how that happened. Maybe there's a sunroof.
I like the sunroof. Like we're in Toronto, and they're just gonna open the dome up so we can look in.
It's Boulder Hill from Mask. The top can open up, and so Ace was ready to kill all of these people.
Yes.
Him and his gang, they talked about what they were going to do to these girls, and I don't think they were going to leave them alive.
Right.
Why does he care that she's dead?
I took it as one of those things, like, like, you have a brother, so you get this. You and your brother can say the most heinous things to each other, but the minute an outsider says something, oh, that's my brother, you relax, pal. So these were their targets, their personal treasures that they were about to assault in a horrible way, I'm sure. And outside people interfering with that, that's a little too much.
So if anybody's going to slit her neck wide open, it's going to be
this
me.
guy right here. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a little more sense. I didn't know if all of a sudden he was like, I'm a good guy now.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, there's something to be said for maybe he's watching the sacrifice happen and he's seeing the druid, so he's like, oh, maybe there is a god. Maybe I got to get on the straight and narrow before this whole shit ends.
So during Tiffany's abduction, I know we mentioned the scream. There was another thing I forgot. The girls are out looking in the woods, and Melissa, I hope I'm remembering these names. I believe it's Melissa. Melissa says, "What's that by that tree?" there is no tree. It's just grass. It's sitting in the middle of an open area with grass. Now there's trees out there, but by no means would I say it's near the tree. You're closer to the tree than the shoe is. They go over and inspect this like it's Scooby-Doo trying to figure out what this clue means. And Wendy goes, Tiffany would never intentionally leave her Nike out here.
Nope. That's not Tiffany's way.
Yeah, no. It's the word intentionally. Like, I wouldn't, Paul, if we went camping and any member of our camping party had a random item, like a random clothing item, their phone, their keys, their wallet. I mean, you might think they could drop one of those, but if it's something that should be on your body and it's not, and especially when there's two of them, I wouldn't go, I know he loves shoes, so he wouldn't intentionally put this here and then try to solve the case. I'd go, okay, well, this is weird. There's no way in hell a human would just leave one shoe behind. We did hear that scream. Do you think perhaps they were taken and in the struggle the shoe came off? No, like it's like they forgot they heard the scream and now they're trying to solve the mystery of the shoe.
He would never intentionally leave his hand behind.
Yeah.
I think something's wrong.
that may as well have been what they said. And if you're going to do this, then earlier in the movie, Tiffany has to mention her shoes.
Establish her love for the shoes.
Guys, I got the newest Air Jordans. You know, somebody like
steps
that.
on one of them. You can't step on my sneakers like that. I keep them clean.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, just stupid upon stupid.
So Mark and Ace go in to try to save the girls. Jamie's lined up to get killed. And then Ace is like having like a hand fight with the druid. And he pulls out his little knife. And then all of a sudden that crystal that we saw before that we don't know what the fuck it is or what it's supposed to do or how it operates or why it's there at all, starts throwing a beam. And Ace kind of uses his knife as like a mirror and reflects the beam onto the druid. And obviously that lights the druid directly on fire, which makes plenty of sense if you know anything about physics and light and things like that. So now the druid's on fire. So now what we've learned in this moment is that this creature, tasked with showing up once every 1,000 years to make sure that the world will continue on, basically is completely dehydrated because the speed with which he catches fire is asinine. And there's no like resistance to it all. It's just light hit fire. Like he might be made of gasoline or kerosene, I guess, because he's older, but this was so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Also, and I'm not saying we've ever been in knife fights or anything like that, but I can assure you that in the middle of a knife fight, I'm not going to stop to pull some. Remember when we used to burn ants as a kid, sort of antics with my knife and light you on fire?
I mean, he's standing there with it as if he's a character in the Street Fighter video game.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you just. And it was obviously plastic. Like, it was so plastic looking. Like that shiny toy knife you had as a kid that once you play with it, the silver chrome comes off.
Yeah,
you know,
it chips away, yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw the whole crystal light reflection, spontaneous combustion, I just put, so we're really just making this shit up as we go.
Yeah, there was no plan when that camera started rolling. I'm assuming a mere 14 hours ago.
Yeah, like there's no way that this was the ending they wrote and they decided to go forth with it. So it made me think of how I do some things. You could probably write more legible with your feet than I can with the hand that I actually write with. And I can write neat, but it is an extreme struggle.
It's arduous
for me to do so. I have to think about every line that I'm doing. and just forget cursive if you want neatness from me. That's not going to happen. I can read what I write, and that's all that matters. But on the occasion where I do have to write and another human has to read it, I understand that they're not in my head and will have no idea what these symbols represent. So I will try my best to make it legible for them if it's anything more than a sentence. And no matter how hard I try, it looks perfectly fine for someone of my writing capabilities at the start.
Right.
And at the end, it's just another language. And that's kind of how I feel like this movie is. No matter how much they may have wanted to make a good movie, they started out with the best intentions. They tried really hard. And as they just got to the end, the willpower to go on just eludes them. And they're like, fuck it, this will do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the druid's dead. Basically, the movie's over at this point, except for the whole we need 4 sacrifices thing. Because now they have to be in a position to believe the concept of the you got to have 4 sacrifices. Like
yes,
they could have.
You just saw 2 monsters.
Yeah, you could have gone into it skeptical, and I would understand and respect you if you did. But if we've witnessed what we've witnessed, we have to kind of be like, I guess this thing might be true. We should make sure we knock out one more sacrifice.
And they should have killed Bill.
What we luckily see instead is a pile of Willie's clothes, and just go, oh, that's probably the 4th death. I guess life will carry on from here. High five, everyone, and then freeze frame.
I expected the sitcom music to play.
Yeah.
After we saw that, and then, freeze frame, and everyone's happy.
Yeah. So everybody high fives, and then it freezes on the high five, and then we get the play out, which is similar to the intro music, but a little more jovial at the end.
And this makes no sense.
Nope. When
did the druid kill Willie? And I believe his name is Willie. It's not in the credits. I thought they called him Willie. He's just listed as Wino, but I'm pretty sure his name is Willie. His death sort of maybe like Speedy, where the jacket's loose, but the jacket could have easily come off in the struggle. Willie basically had to strip naked before he was killed, unless he just, vanished into thin air and left his clothes behind.
Right.
Because it doesn't make any sense that they're all just laid out there. And if I know anything about Willie, he will never intentionally leave both of his shoes behind. No, and that's what he did. But we do get a shot of the Indian off in the distance.
Yeah.
Did he kill Willie because the druid was unable to do his job, knowing that there were 3 deaths and 1 more was needed, because this is a completely different type of kill than we got before?
So like you feel like the cigar store Indian was just there to monitor the situation, and then when he saw that it wasn't going to come to fruition, he had to intervene.
Yes. Which kind of goes against what I was saying earlier with them being pit against each other. But that is how I felt when I first saw this scene. I'm like, well, this isn't going to make sense based on what I know the druid's going to have to do. But then seeing this and seeing the druid fail, and then, they probably just think, well, it would be really cool if we put him back up there, type of thing. And there may be zero meaning behind this. And like so many things that we watch, we give it meaning that was never intended to be there when trying to make sense of what they've given us. But I feel like because the druid failed, the medicine maker had to step in and do his job for him to save the world.
So here's what I'm going to do here for you and for the benefit of everyone. Yeah, sure. And that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
sure.
The other thing here too is, if I ever saw just a pile of clothes in the field, I wouldn't go, "Oh, that poor soul."
Not even one shout out like, "Willie, are you here?"
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah.
He's a drunk.
That's
There's a very strong possibility he is drunk off his rocker, took all his clothes off, and is running around in the field. They gave zero thought to anything else other than pile of clothes means dead body.
Well, that is the pile of clothes of the guy who, for some portion of the day, has been walking around with only one lens in his glasses. So that pile of clothes clearly means he's dead. Let's pour one out for old Will.
At first, I thought it was an eye patch, and I'm just like, God damn it! Are they really going to do eye patch on, eye patch off? It's going to piss me off because I'm going to have to track it. I can't not track it when I see it. And then I went back. I was like, oh, thank you so much. I see you're holding the glasses, and it was probably, that was the happiest moment of the movie for me when I realized I didn't have a job ahead of me I didn't want to do.
This won't be as much
and
work
that
as
only
I
am going to find interesting, So I knew it's just best part of the movie is when I realized his eye patch were glasses.
So that's it. That's the movie.
Yeah.
And then we gracefully fade back into that amazing mock Halloween music. And it's over. And, we find ourselves in this situation quite a bit lately, but do you even care to survive this killer?
Yeah. But again, if you have to die to save the entire world, oh, okay, it sucks for you, but
right.
You're gonna die anyway. It's not like, well, if I survive the killer, I'll be able to live for another. No, you're just gonna die with everyone else.
Right.
So
it's die or die a little bit later.
So I guess
you know that you basically murdered everyone else by not dying.
Yeah. Russ, I'm so glad you're safe. No, you're not. The only way to avoid this killer is to go to Palm Springs instead of going on a fossil hunting trip with your friend who's dating their professor. That's how you survive this.
Fossil hunting trip does feel insane in retrospect.
Yeah. Yeah, unless the world ends, then you're going to die anyway.
So, if you're the druid, what do you do differently besides the fact that you had 1,000 years to learn English?
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I thought maybe the druid was hibernating because I know, just like what's that other movie with the aliens? I can't remember what it was called that we watched. But it had zombies. It had everything because it didn't know what it wanted to do.
That is a statement that we wind up with in a lot of the movies we watch. Yeah. I'm not sure they knew what they were planning on doing here in this movie.
With that, even thinking about that movie now broke my brain. With the, wow. Okay. If you're the killer, what do you do differently in this? You have to then grab everyone from the group. You just can't cherry pick people and then think that everyone's going to just sit back and take it. You're the druid. You have the ability to pick them off. You've been doing it successfully so far. Continue to do it. And then go about your ritual. And okay. Yeah, because the problem here with the druid, and is why I thought the druid was dormant. They talk about all this evil that happens in the woods, but there's never any stories about other deaths in the woods. It's only, there's demons and devils up there. I don't go, except I went yesterday. And which is in walking distance for Willie, by the way, when everyone else has to drive multiple hours to get there. But yeah, so I am so sorry. It is so difficult just to try to piece this together because of how bad it is in my head.
No, but you know you're on to something here. Part of the reason they're supposed to be afraid to go up there is the legacy and history of violence and death
Right.
in the area.
Oh,
But also, the druid shows up once every 1,000 years to kill 4 people, and we've learned through this movie, right or wrong, whatever, the druid is very particular in who they kill. So the druid is not killing 500 people in the hopes that they get 4 of them right. The druid is killing 4 people. So if we buy this theory in the first place, this idea in the first place, and we're in the 1990s headed for the 2000s, this has happened once in the last 1,000 years.
yeah.
There are 4 dead people at this point 995 years ago. How does their disappearance and death, and also we've kind of seen the way that the deaths work too. They are slitting their throats next to a statue. So these deaths aren't,
And some of them are eaten by a sea monster.
some of
So
them
there
are
is
eaten
no
by sea
body.
monsters, they disappear. So these deaths aren't like, I don't know what the word I want is, but like just not, and then we found a finger hanging from the tree, and then
Yeah.
there was 2 arms tied. You know what I mean? Just, we found 4 people. Unfortunately, their throats were slit, and they're in a cave, and that's it. So why did this legacy take such hold as far as the deaths and the fear? Like, why?
And
Now you're really irritating me.
well, and especially I've been able to I've remembered my point.
Okay.
As the druid, that's not the PR you want for this
Well,
lake.
No, of course not.
You want the lake to be enticing.
It should be very
Because
inviting.
if people don't come here because they think it's haunted
Right.
or they think there's demons, you have no souls to sacrifice.
Right.
So, if anything, you are going to keep the killing to a bare minimum
It's going to be super
until
quiet
it's
too.
time to kill, so people feel comfortable going there. Because everyone's like, I don't go there anymore.
Right.
You know, like,
But that's what I'm saying. Even and your point is 100% correct. That you don't want your dealings getting out into the public as best you can.
yes,
But these people are terrified of this area. Like, this happens every day. Like,
yes.
also, how did you make this movie so much worse in the last 3 minutes? How did you do that?
Well, you see, and like,
We're supposed to be in the
It
wrap
was-
it up section of this, and now you've unraveled the entire core of the movie. Is that this druid needs to have a good ad agency running his
Yes.
promotion, so the people are like, oh, I like to go to this area, and infrequently there have been deaths, but there are deaths everywhere, unfortunately, sadly. So if 4 people are dead over the course of 1,000 years, that's not even going to make the books. Like, that's not going to be a blip
No.
anywhere if they are, not catastrophically psychopathic deaths.
Yeah,
Right?
I feel
there'll
like
be unsolved murders, sure, but unsolved murders 1,000 years ago is a meaningless statement because all murders were unsolved, unless you were literally there while the person was killing the other person in the 1800s or in the 1000s. There was an unsolved murder. That's how it worked.
Yeah.
That was it. So what are we even doing here? How does this even exist as
Yeah.
a framework? Yeah,
and like, why is that the spot the druid lives? You think the druid would live like in a city? I mean, and I understand that maybe that's where it was stationed originally and nothing was just built around it.
right.
But if you want access to souls,
No, I mean, that
don't
could
live
be
in the
like-
backwoods.
Like, there could be a reason that that's the area. That lake could connect to Valhalla, whatever
Yeah.
the hell it is. Like, there could be a reason that the that the druid exists there, but like also
I'm building timeshares
the,
if I'm the druid.
Yeah,
you know?
why not?
Yeah.
Come watch my presentation. Everybody gets a free steak dinner at Capitol Grill, and then we're gonna go sit by the lake and talk about it. But how does the druid even exist? Like, in other words, is the druid in hibernation for 990
I'm
years?
assuming.
Okay.
I'm assuming that, or they get beamed down to Earth somehow.
Okay.
I don't know, but I just feel like they're not walking around the grounds every day mowing the lawn and doing that stuff.
So this would lead to more fear, which is the problem there.
Yeah.
Being beamed down. Okay, so now we're talking about aliens, but whatever. Just hibernating seems crazy too, because then you're telling me that like not once in 1,000 years did someone stumble into that cave and go, what in the hell is that thing right there? Because he was big. He was like painted to be some giant.
Yeah.
I need to be done with this show.
Everything inside the cave was just easily decipherable with a computer that's water resistant.
And and doesn't need to be plugged in, which was a wild revelation for the professor.
They're like, batteries.
We blew right past that. But he's like, oh, this is pretty neat. Where does it plug in? Oh, plug in. It's got batteries in a computer. Who'd have thunk?
Even the girl in my class with the Walkman plugs her Walkman in. Yeah.
Do you even want to try to fix this movie?
There's you basically you have to not have the opening scene. That scene has to be like, well, because it makes no sense. It has to come after the bar, where the girls then leave from that to be like, hey, we're going on the trip instead of going to the gym. That's all it is. You do that, then this isn't as bad, because they're not setting an expectation in the movie that they do not continue to provide. And it just sticks out so much. Plus, then we can follow the two characters we already know into the house. So it doesn't seem like, who are all these weird girls and why do we never see them again? Even though we're told they're going to Palm Springs. It's just, it's odd the way that happens. And I get why they did it. And in a way, I have a lot of respect and admiration for something that's just kind of like, oh yeah, we'll make your movie better, where, and not even take credit for it. I mean, I'm sure he got some money, but it's, it's just the way some films are made, and unfortunately, they made the rest of the film in a different way. So I fixed that, and then I get rid of the bikers, because the bikers are just you're questioning why their actions are the way they are, and why are they there? Why are they so obsessed with going camping just to find these girls? Just make them their boyfriends, and it doesn't, not those specific characters, but you just make it boyfriends that go on the trip. That's all. And now you have these extra guys, because you're only adding them there for more bags. So that works. And then we get rid of the whole haunted woods, demon roaming in the woods aspect. And we just, it's going to be a surprise to everybody. Nobody's concerned about being in this area. And we talked about it a little bit. I'm going to make the druid more of a reluctant killer. So you can tell, like, this, he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He just has to do this. This is what he was born to do and will always do. And instead of establishing all this weird lore about dancing at Easter to bring in the spring, we can just talk about a tribe that went missing over 1,000 years ago, or about 1,000 years ago. And apparently there was only one person that survived. That can be a campfire story. Just, saying this is what happened in the woods 1,000 years ago. Just to try to make it a little more streamlined with why we need to do what what we're doing and what happened in the past. But if you see my very last note there, I just said, honestly, just burn it all, though. Like, I don't think whatever you do to this is really going to be able to make it any better unless you are just starting from scratch.
I think starting from scratch is the key here. I think the only thing you can do if you refuse to do that is cut whatever you want from what we've already seen to get the time and lay out the lore better. Lay out the history better. Give me traits that the sacrifices have to have. Give me reasons that this druid needs to be selective. Give me reasons that this druid exists. Like, I don't even really know that they went into like what religious lineage the druid comes. Like, it's just there. And they all accept that they're studying it, but they don't really go into the whys at all. So, as much as it pains me to say it, get rid of the lingerie parade. Get rid of the first scene of them in the classroom. Get rid of the bar dancing while not singing, while singing and dancing scene.
Oh, yeah. I suppress that. Yeah.
Take all of that time and put that time into giving me some level of understandable lore that doesn't revolve around one Indian saying some stuff and one teacher saying a few things and no details are given whatsoever. Why are we doing it now? Because we're turning to the millennium and we have to extend. Okay. Who are we extending it for? Who is this druid in service of? Who is this druid hunting for? Why was it just women? Did they need to be virgin women? How does he test to see if they're virgin women? Like, there's so much explanation that could be just exposition that could clean so much of this up. And I think ultimately the answer is get yourself a writer who knows what the hell they're doing. And I only say that so I can bring up the one last thing that's on my notes, which is at a certain point, the girls are chained up and they're struggling to get loose from the chains. And the one girl says, "What are these chains made of? Kryptonite?" I realize there's probably some weird derivation offshoot one issue of Superman that proves me wrong, but kryptonite is like a crystal that's, you know, usually made of some sort of glass or ore. Kryptonite is not strong. Kryptonite is interesting because it weakens the strongest man in the world, but kryptonite in and of itself is not strong. The person who wrote those words lacks the ability to write anything because they thought they were being smart. They thought they were referencing something cool, and they got it dead wrong, which means they got everything dead wrong. Like it's a little tiny indicator of you shouldn't have let this man behind a pen or a typewriter, and this is what you got, and you deserve what you got.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I missed that. I never heard that line. Had I heard that, I would be equally as upset as you are, and I'm equally as upset now after you told me it's in the movie. Not with you, but with the movie.
Right.
Yeah. No, that is yeah. That's awful.
So that's been our bloody take. I'm sure you want to share your horror stories of having watched this movie with us as well. If you do, you can find us at all the socials. We're at Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Blue Sky, and Twitter. It's One Bloody Take, all one word. We're on TikTok at _bloody_take. You can find the podcast at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Substack. Just search out One Bloody Take. We're right there. Put out a new episode every Wednesday. Join us next week when we discuss 2025's Only Fangs. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And thanks for listening to our Bloody Take.